In this video, we're going to talk about an important and interesting decision that every hearing aid wearer needs to make, and that is, will they go with a behind-the-ear hearing aid with a piece that sits behind the ear, a wire that goes up over the top of the ear, and a speaker that plays sound into the ear? Or will they go with an in-ear hearing aid, which is either custom molded inside your ear canal, or like the Oticon Zeal, which is our current best invisible hearing aid in the prescription market, sits deep inside the ear canal, mostly invisible and out of the way. So this is a decision that most hearing aid wearers will need to make. And in this video, we're going to break down everything you need to consider as you are making this decision. If we have not yet met, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at Soundly.com. We're one of the leading destinations for hearing health research and shopping in the United States. We also have a network of clinics around the country who offer discounted pricing, free testing, longer return periods, and a number of other Soundly perks. If you like what you see in this video, I'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up. Helps videos like these reach more people. With that, let's dig into behind the ear versus in the ear hearing aids. Now, when you go to research hearing aids, one of the things you may be tempted to do is to jump straight into product research, try to find the best brand or the best technology. Typically, though, what we recommend folks do is they ask a couple of higher level questions. The first question starts with a hearing test. So we recommend folks go over to Soundly.com, take our hearing test, and get a sense for their individual hearing loss. That will help them understand if they're a candidate for over-the-counter devices, prescription devices, what type of configuration they have in their hearing loss. So that's step number one. The second step that we typically recommend folks think through prior to digging into specific brands and models is this decision of style. Do I want in-ear or do I want behind the ear? And that's what we're going to be focused on in this video. And I'm going to start with behind the ear hearing aid. So I'm holding the Relate hearing aid, which is our best value behind the ear hearing aid. This is available at a local clinic. We also have products that look very similar under the names Sennheiser All Day Clear. You would find branded products like Phonak and Resound. All of them would have a very similar form factor to what you're seeing here. Now, there are a number of benefits to going with a behind the ear hearing aid. And this is the reason that about 80% of customers end up with this style. This is the style that I also wear most of the time. Now, I test everything and I spend time in all the different models, but I spend the most time in a behind the ear hearing aid. And this is what I'd pull out if I was going into a high stakes situation, like a work meeting or a dinner party. I typically would reach for my behind the ear hearing aids. The main reason for that is that this style of hearing aid typically has the highest quality of sound. So it does the most hard work to strip down background noise, present voices with clarity. Typically, manufacturers release their flagship technology into this form factor first. One of the reasons for that is just simply the fact that more people wear behind the ear hearing aids, and so releasing new tech into this form factor reaches more people faster. The other reason is that the form factor itself is just larger. So if you look at the Oticon Zeal compared to a behind the ear hearing aid, there's just more space to put in processing chips and Bluetooth technology and directional microphones. You can pack a lot more into a slightly larger space that sits behind the ear. So sound quality is one important consideration. What's interesting here, though, is that some of the recent releases, including Oticon Zeal, have begun to get close in terms of their total sound quality to what was historically only possible in a behind the ear hearing aid. This is not true of all in-the-ear hearing aids, but Oticon Zeal, Eargo 8, a couple of others are really starting to compete with that overall sound quality just by miniaturizing all of their device parts. Oticon Zeal uses a totally different manufacturing process where they encapsulate all of the parts of the device instead of building a shell and packing them in. So they're essentially bringing the same level of compute into a much smaller form factor. So the issue of sound quality has some nuance to it, but at a very high level, a behind the ear hearing aid is typically going to give you slightly more advanced sound than what you'd find in an in-ear product. The other reason a lot of folks reach for a behind the ear hearing aid is that the form factor itself can be more comfortable in your ear canal. So if I put this on, and I put the receiver into my ear, you'll see this wire drops down into my ear canal, and the amount of material that's actually inside my ear canal is a little bit less than if I were to put in the Oticon Zeal or another invisible or in-ear style. That's because you have to pack all the components down into the ear canal. So often, depending on your situation, a behind-the-ear hearing aid can be more comfortable for really long-term wear. The final reason that many folks go with a behind-the-ear hearing aid is on the topic of Bluetooth streaming. So behind-the-ear hearing aids like Relate and Sennheiser and many of the brand name products that we talk about over at soundly.com, they all have the ability to stream phone calls, podcasts, media directly into your ears. When you get to the in-ear devices, there are only a couple of hearing aids on the market that both sit in the ear and also allow for Bluetooth streaming. One of them is the Oticon Zeal, which I'm holding. We've done a full review of this product and it actually holds up really well on the streaming front. It streams just as well as behind the ear hearing aids, which is pretty amazing because this is a product that sits all the way down inside the ear. But more broadly, in-ear devices tend to forego Bluetooth streaming, so they just skip it because there's not enough space and it's too difficult to get Bluetooth signal down into your ear canal. So those are really the three main reasons that I often opt for a behind the ear hearing aid, and around 80% of other folks go with that style as well. Now that said, there are some really good reasons to go with an in-ear device. And as I've mentioned a few times in this video already, there are some amazing advancements in technology that make in-ear devices better than they've ever been. My brother is a great example of this. He is a farmer and he wears over-ear protection. Sometimes he'll wear a hard hat. And so having devices behind his ear is not a good idea for him. So he ends up going with an in-ear device. Now, in the case of my brother or anyone else who's looking for an in-ear device, you've really got two main options. One is to go with a custom molded device. So you'd go into a clinic, they'd actually take a custom ear mold impression of your ear canal, and then they'd make a one-of-one molded device that sits deep down in your ear canal. So that's option number one. The other option is to go with a ready-fit product like the Oticon Zeal. We're actually seeing a lot of popularity in these ready-fit products. There's Oticon Zeal, and then there's another brand called Signia Silk, which uses the same technology. Just a variety of dome tips that fit various ear canals. One of the advantages here is that we're seeing really advanced technology packed into these small devices. That's harder to do on a one-by-one basis in a custom ear mold product. So the main reasons that someone would go with an in-ear device are either they're like my brother and they have a specific reason that they need that space behind their ear open, or they simply want something that's less visible and out of the way. Maybe they have short hair and they don't want someone seeing that piece behind their ear. For those folks, we have really good success with products like Oticon Zeal or Eargo 8 or Signia Silk, as I mentioned, because that product goes deep down in the ear canal. Typically, the design is black, so it simply just looks like a shadow that's disappearing in your ear. We recently did a full review of invisible style hearing aids, which I'll link up here. It talks about some of the different technology that's available on the market. And again, it's getting better over time. So if you're looking for that in-ear style, there really are some good options out there. So if you were to come to soundly.com and you text or call us at 833-SOUNDLY, or you email our team, and you ask, which style should I pick? Should I go with behind the ear or should I go with in the ear? We'll almost certainly have some follow-up questions. We'll want to know about how you'll use the hearing aids, your preference, and whether you prefer to keep the area behind your ears clear. If you don't have strong preferences in those areas, we'll typically steer you towards a behind the ear hearing aid. And those are the products that to date have typically been the most advanced. If you are interested in in-ear devices, we'd almost certainly point you towards Oticon Zeal or Eargo 8. Those are our favorites in the invisible in-ear style category. If you're just getting started in your research or you have questions, feel free to head over to soundly.com. We'd love to talk with you. You can also find a lot of content and comparisons of all the different products on the market. And if ultimately you want to purchase a product, you can do that at soundly.com. We offer follow-up care, including an audiologist setup call for over-the-counter products. Or if you're looking for a prescription product like Oticon Zeal or Relate, you can head into a local clinic that we put you in touch with. You'll get better pricing, a longer return policy, and access to our team for ongoing care and support. I hope you found this video informative as you consider behind the ear versus in the ear hearing aids, and we wish you the best in your research.